Okay, if you remember where I left off, we were making the interface, right? So we made a screen that looks like this. It has an animal. We had dragons, though, right? We did dragons. We got a dragon and so on, right? We put little animals. These are emojis. We put them in the corner. This is text. This is a label, and this is a button, right? This is a button to start the game. This was just putting it down. We dragged this to here to add the segue. And then we went, after we did that, we embedded a navigational controller into the second view controller. And why did we do that? Well, we're not really going back to this screen until the person says done here. Then it'll go back to here. So this navigation controller, I believe, is used for putting the results and the done button here. So it's actually putting that here. So it makes this bar that goes across the top. We didn't really do a very good example of that in class, but I guess now we're going to learn about it. Basically, when you put the navigational controller and how you do that, if you look, you can use this anytime. It's very good. It's very easy to do. To do it is, again, you take a view controller, you select it, and it's underneath editor, embed in navigation or controller. And then it puts, again, a second, do you see it here? It puts this thing right here, see it, navigational controller. And what does that do? Well, it adds this back button automatically. See the back button right here? It puts that automatically there for you. And then it goes back to the last screen you were at. So it's a very easy way to do that. In fact, you can add another view controller and then link this to that, and it'll also put a back button. So it's like a very quick way that you can have multiple view controllers. You just have to have the standard back button. Or basically, you have to have the navigation up here. Okay. Now you can change that. You can alter that. And that's what we're going to do next. We're going to actually alter this to not have the back button. It'll have a done button. A done button. And it'll have a text that says results. Right? Because this will be the results. So I'll show you that right now. If you look at that, again, this is the flow right now. Here's your animal. It goes to the navigation and controller, which is wrapped over top of this, which then the person goes to here. Because they're going to fill out there's questions are going to be here, right? There's questions here. When they're done with their questions, they're going to go here. And it's going to tell them what kind of animal, or dragon in this case, right? Maybe you're going to be Merlin's dragon, or maybe you're the Game of Thrones dragon. No? No? So it'll tell you your results, and then you hit done, and it goes back to the beginning, I believe, to let the person play again. So after a player has finished the quiz, the app will display the results along a short description. The player should have some way to dismiss the results and return to the introduction screen so that another player can take the quiz. Here's an example of the interface. That's what the final will look like. We'll have dragons, though. Now that you've embedded the results screen in the navigation controller, a navigation bar is available for placing titles and buttons. As long as the view controller has a navigational item, you can add that now. Okay, again, it's called navigational item. Where is that located? Well, it's going to be one of these options here, up here. Do you see in the library, right? In the library. If you click on the library, you can say navigation item. So you want to add this right here. Do you see it? Navigational item. Where do we add it? Well, we add it up here at the top. And it comes over here. You'll see you have a title. The title is going to be results. R-E-S-U-L-T-S. Results. Because that's going to be the result of the thing. Then instead of a back button, we're gonna change the button to a done. Hold on. Let me see how that's done here. Hold on. So we add it. Drag the object up here. We did that. Type in results. We've done that already. When the navigation is in place, you can drag, you can add a done button. So you're going to have a bar button item. When the navigation item in place, you can add, now that you've, let me start at the top. Now that you've embedded the results screen in a navigational bar is available for placing titles and buttons. As long as you can use navigation item, you can add that now. Again, here it is. With the navigation item in place, you can drag a done button that will dismiss the results and return to introduction screen. Drag a bar button from the object library to the right side of the navigational item. In the attributes inspector, update the bar button system item attribute to done, which automatically changes the text and the font of the button. Okay, so it's called a bar button item. A bar button item. Bar, here it is, navigational bar, I guess this, or bar button item. Let's try. B-A-R, bar button item. There it is. I typed in bar, and I got the bar button item. So I'm going to click and drag that up there, over here. See how it goes over here? Look how it's highlighted right there. You see it's kind of bluish right there? And you're going to change the name here to done, D-O-N-E, done. Then we're going to hide the back button. I believe you can turn this off is the last thing we need to do here. So the last thing we need to do is turn the done button off. Oh no, the back button's still there. Now that you've embedded the results screen in navigation button, it's over replacing titles and buttons. As long as the view controller has a navigation item, you add that now, which we already did. By now you're a pro at positioning stacked items with the constraints. To replicate the results screen, create a vertical stack view with two labels. Use the Align tool to center the stack vertically and use the Add Constraints tool to set the leading and trailing edges to 0. Use the system font 50 for the first item and the second for the second. Okay, so they're not worried about the back button right now, but I believe we hide that. I don't think that's there. I don't think that's there in the final one. So again, let me pause for a moment. Do you have that top? Again, I have a back button, a results button, and a done button. Okay. I believe we hide this, but we'll continue for now. Next, you want to put a label and two labels on there. Again, the big one is going to be 50 points or whatever, and this one's going to be 17 points. They want you to center it vertically and then stretch it out to both edges. How you stretch it out to both edges is by giving it the constraints of 0 and 0. So again, I'm going to put a label on there, and that label will go again. We're in the third one, right? We're in the third view controller, the one with the done and results we just put on there. This one's going to be 50, right? 50. And put it in the middle, and then put another one on, put another label on, another label, and that one's gonna stay 17. I guess it's kind of small, but I guess it's there. And we're going.
50 what? 50 height?
This is 50 system 50. System 50 is the font size. So just hit these arrows after you put this label on. Just hit this arrow right here. See it? Blah blah. You just go up in time to 50. This one I think it says leave at 17. I think it said that, didn't it? I think it said leave it at 17. Yeah, leave it at 17. Next, they want to group them together into a stack, right? You're gonna vertical stack. So we're gonna link them together, or click on them both, and remember to put them in a stack is this one right here with the arrow pointing down, right? With the arrow pointing down, I'm going to say stack view, puts them together, center them. Once you have them centered, then we're going to align it to the center vertically, and then we're going to go to constraints, and we're going to put 0 on both, 0 on both sides, and then say add two constraints. Okay? See if you can do that. I'll come and help you. So we're all done with this page. Again, you got your constraints as 0. We got our fonts. We aligned both center labels to center. Oh, both labels to center. I didn't do that. If you didn't do that, you click on it. It's this one right here. Boom. See center right here? Boom. Click on this label, boom. This is center right here. So under, again, attributes, center, click on them, center. That way everything's in the center. Okay, we did that. So both are in the center. Second label, describe above, run to multiple lines. You need to set the lines attribute to 0 and the line break to word wrap. So the second label will describe more than the results and will likely run multiple lines. So you want to set the lines attributes to 0 and a line break to word wrap. So again, the line attribute is this one right here. So we're going to put 0 in there. Oh, down 0. And then where is the wrapping is over at the, there is a wrapping option. I know there is. Just got to find it. Where's wrapping? Where's wrapping? Word wrap. This one. Line break. Word wrap. So he says put 0 here for the lines for the second one, the small one. Let me zoom in a little bit. Again, this one right here. Clicked on it. Oh, click on it. 0 here and line break word wrap. Word wrap. So I'll pause for a minute. Let's go to the next page. Boom. Create descriptive subclasses. Now that you've created 3 view controllers in your storyboard scene, you'll need 3 view controller subclasses in code. Create a new file by choosing File, New File from the Xcode. Select Cocoa Touch as your starting template, then choose UI View Controller from the subclass pop-up. This choice will automatically append the view controller to the class name, making the object type clear to group developers. Name the class Question View Controller and click Next. The group pop-up menu should list a folder that matches the name of the project. Personality quiz. Choose it and click Create. So again, we're going to make some view controllers for this. Again, they have 3 of them. One of them is going to call Question View Controller. The other one's Results View Controller. And then the other view controller is already made, I believe. We don't really need to make a third one. But let's do it anyways. Here we go. To make our view controllers, I'm going to deselect everything, make sure nothing's selected. Then I'm going to go over here to where it says File, New. I'm going to say New File right here. File, New File. This time it's going to be a Cocoa Touch right here because we're making a view controller. Next, if I hit Next, we're going to leave this as view controller, but we're going to name it as, this one is the UI view controller. And what did I say it was? One was Results and the other one was what? Question, right? Question. Question View Controller, and it's a subclass of UI View Controller. This all looks fine right here. I'm going to hit Next and make sure you save it. I'm going to make sure it goes into the quiz folder where my other stuff is located. So I'm just kind of top level next to this one where the other view controller is already there, right? And hit Create. And we're going to do one more. Let's do one more. We're going to do one more. This time it's going to be Results. So I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to File, New File right there, and this time I'm going to go Cocoa Touch again. I'm going to say Next. This time it's going to be Results, R-E-S-U-L-T-S, Results View Controller. Again, it's a UI View Controller. It's a Swift language. We're going to say Next, and again, make sure you put it in the same folder where the other 2 are located so far, and we hit Create, and we have our 2 view controllers that we can start. Okay, now that we have our 3 view controllers, we can start programming the options here. Again, we got Question View Controller and Results View Controller. You may have noticed that the project navigation lists a subclass of UI View Controller called View Controller. That's the default one that started, right? A single view application template automatically assigns the name to your app's first view controller, which we already have. To be more descriptive, click the file name and change it to Introduction View Controller Swift. Next, open the file and change the class name to Introduction View Controller, then close the file. Okay, that's a little confusing, but what they're trying to tell you is to change the name of it, but you also have to change the class in the file itself. So let me show you what I mean by that. So if we come over here, this default one right here, see the default one right here? It's right here. If we change the name of it by changing it called Introduction right here, in the folder on this left side here, see how it's Introduction View Controller right there? But the problem is you got to change this over here. See, in the actual file itself, it says Class View Controller. This is the default. But that's not going to do any good because there's no view controller anymore because you've changed the name right here. So you actually have to change the name over here as well to Introduction. Right there. Do you see that? View Controller. So again, you need to change it here and here. Now it should work fine. Okay, these need to match. That makes any sense. And it's still a UI view controller, right? You got that? Okay, let's continue then. Now that your project has 3 descriptive names, view controller subclasses, open the main storyboard one at a time, select each view controller, and use the identity inspector to assign the appropriate custom class. The first view controller will be introduction view controller, followed by question view controller, and the results view controller. If you remember how to do that, again, we're going to go to the main storyboard. Let's start at the beginning like they just said. You don't need to mess with the navigation or controller. That's not doing anything. You're gonna go to the one with the little little guys on it, the little dragon and stuff. If you click up here and make it blue, once you make it blue, you can go over here to the inspector. This is the identity inspector is the one with the little folder in the upper right corner, the one that has the folder. And where the class is right here, you need to make sure you're gonna choose the introduction one, the one you just changed the name to. Again, this is right here. Again, make it blue. The little square right here, introduction view controller right there. Then I'm going to scroll over to not this navigation controller, don't touch that. This view controller is the second one, again, which is going to be the quiz or the questions. This one is the questions. Again, I'm going to make it blue. I'm going to make the inspector up here blue. I'm going to hit the pull down menu. Again, this one's going to be the question view controller. Then I'm going to scroll again to the right, and I'm going to go to the results one. See the results one, make that one blue up here at the top, and change that one to results view controller right there. Results view controller. And we've created the view controllers. We have all 3 of them are linked together to the right spot. Next, create the questions and answers. Again, this is a little tricky because you have to do some auto layout stuff. And so just be very careful that you do the auto layout right. The first time I tried this, I had my buttons kind of going vertically down the screen. It didn't look very good. Just be careful where you put the alignment features. That's the key here. So again, all this is going in the second. That we're building the question view controller. So it's all going in the question. So keep that in mind. During the project planning phase, you consider 3 different question types: a single answer, multiple answers, and ranged response. Now take some time to come up with your list of questions. Think about how many reword each question to fit one of the 3 categories. Suppose you ask, which food do you like the most? The answer might include a list of 4 foods, and the player must pick one. What kind of control would you use? A simple approach would be to present a button for each answer, organized in a vertical stack view. Begin by dragging a vertical stack view from the object library to the question controller. Add the 4 buttons to the stack view. Use the Align tool to center the stack view within the view. Then use the Add New Constraints tool to set the edges to 0. Add space between the buttons by setting spacing to 20 in the Attributes Inspector. If necessary, click the Update Frames button to reposition the stack based on the constraints you just created. Woo! That seemed like a lot, but we can do it. So the first thing they want you to do is, if you think about it, you're actually putting a group on the screen first. Then you're going to put the labels inside of that. Okay, so again, begin by adding a vertical stack first. Then add 4 buttons to the stack, not labels, buttons, and use the Align tool. So again, here we go. Again, we're here in the question. I'm going to zoom in into the question. I'm going to scroll around here, scroll around. I'm in the question view controller here. The first thing I'm going to do is put a vertical stack. So if you go over here to label and type in vertical, it's going to give V-E-R-T, vertical stack. You're going to drag the vertical stack view onto the screen. Okay, again, it's kind of, and align it sort of in the center. Then what you're going to do is, that's like putting a group on the screen first. Remember, we usually put things on the screen and then tell it to be a group. Well, if you put the vertical stack on there first, you're actually making a group first, and then you're going to put the objects inside the group. So make sure you drag them in the group. Notice how it says vertical stack over here as well. You can actually drag from the library over here underneath there, and it'll put it in there as well. And it might even be easier that way. Again, if you come over here, we're going to type in button, B-U-T-T-O-N. And you can take a button. Again, instead of trying to drag here, you can actually drag underneath here like that, and it'll put it in there as well. You can actually duplicate it in there by holding down the control key and clicking in. No, I thought you could duplicate in here. Can I duplicate? There we go. Option. option, click and drag. Option, click and drag puts 4 of them in there. Again, you can duplicate them by using option, click and drag. Next, you can go over to the attributes inspector, and we're going to scale. Let me see, make sure I put the right options in there. So again, I added 4 buttons to the stack view. Use the align tool to center the stack vertically within the view. Then add new constraints tool is setting the leading to 0. Okay, so again, here we go. Inside here, after I add the buttons in there, we're gonna go to the vertical stack. I'm gonna align it in the center there, and then let's go and align vertical contained in center. Right there we go. And then we're going to go to the constraints option here, and we're going to go to 0 for the leading here, 0 for this edge there. Oh, nope, that's not right. What did I say? Oh, leading. Oh, I didn't do that right. I guess to the left side is what I wanted to do. 0 here. There we go. That's it. 0 there, so all the buttons are on the side there. And then, so 0 on the leading side. Add the space between the buttons by setting the spacing to 20 in the Attributes Inspector. If necessary, click the Update Frame. So again, in the Attributes Inspector, we want spacing of 20 right here. Spacing under Attributes, and hit Tab on the keyboard. Spreads them out a little bit, and it looks like it automatically. You don't have to do the update frames. Okay, here we go. So we have set our questions. Let's continue. Next, of course, the button titles will change based on the answers you provide. You'll update them later when you move on to coding the quiz. Multiple answers. The questions, which of the following foods you would like, suggest that the player can choose multiple answers rather than using buttons for the answers. It would make more sense to create a pair of labels and switches so the player can switch on all positive answers. When the player has made their selection, they can tap the button to submit the answers and move to the next question. Before you begin, you might want to hide the single answer stack. Select the stack in the storyboard or the outline, then open the attributes and selector and deselect installed at the bottom of the panel. The switch UI is not much different from the button UI. Each label and switch pair can be held in a horizontal stack view, and just like the single answer question, the rows can be held in a vertical stack view. Begin by adding the label and switch from the object library. Highlight both of them and click Embed in Stack button. Click the Embed Stack button. In the Attributes Inspector for the stack view, make sure the axis is set to horizontal and alignment and distribution are set to fill. Okay, this is a little trickier. So the first thing they're talking about here is that you're going to flow through the questions in the same view controller. You're not leaving this one. The questions, there's going to be 3 questions. And you go from one question to the other question to the other one. In the same view controller, you're just hiding them and showing them. Okay, so right now we have the buttons that we just put on there, right? We're going to hide those. And we're going to put new stuff on here that looks like this in the same view controller. And then we're going to hide that, and then we're going to put a slider on there. So there'll be actually 3 different choices in the same view controller just by hiding and showing the stack views. Basically, that's how you do it. You go from stack view to stack view to stack view. Okay? It's a little tricky, but you'll see how it's done. So let's go and do it. So you never leave the question view controller. You're just hiding them. So here's how you hide it. You have this selected still. Hopefully, if you don't, again, you can click on it here. Try and work in here. It's going to be much easier working in this kind of layer look than it is over here, because you might not be able to select it, because sometimes you click on a button and you have that selected. We don't want that. No. We want the entire view selected. Do you see that? Okay, so make sure you have the entire stack view controller. And then over here underneath the, hold on, where do I hide it? It's over here somewhere. installed right here. See where it says installed at the bottom of the attributes? See the attributes right there? At the very bottom it says installed. I'm going to hide that. It didn't go away. It's still, look, it's still here. It's not being shown right now because programmably we will be showing each one programmably. Does that make sense? We're going to add another one. First thing we're going to do is kind of put, so everybody got the installed? You got that, right? Okay. So here we go. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to make something that looks like this. How you do that is before you even hide, we hid that already. Select this in the storyboard outline, open the attributes inspector, and deselect at the bottom. Okay, we already did that. The UI switch is not much different than the UI button. Each label and switch pair can be held in a horizontal stack view, and just like the single answer, the rows can be held in a vertical stack view. So again, let's just build that. Again, we're going to go and put in a label, and we're just going to drag that out kind of towards the center. That's fine. Next, we're going to go and add a switch, and drag that next to it. Okay, then you're going to select both of them, and you're going to put it in a horizontal stack view. You put it in the middle there for right now. And to put it in a horizontal stack view, we can, how do we do that? We can just say stack view. I just went here and did stack view right there. So again, remember the arrow that points down here is where you put a stack view. Then we're going to duplicate that by holding down the Option, click, and drag. Duplicate that by using Option, click, and drag, Option, click, and drag, Option, click, and drag. Then you're going to select all of them again, kind of drag them in the center. And then I'm going to use this same stack view again and embed them in a stack view that way. Now that they're all embedded in a stack view, it kind of looks like this. I will help you in a minute. So then it kind of, they all look together like that. See how they're all kind of embedded in a stack view? In the attributes inspector, then access the horizontal and line of distribution are set to fill. So again, this time what we're going to do is we're going to make sure the axis is set to horizontal. So we want to make sure that it's in the horizontal center. I guess, is that what it said? Horizontal container or vertical container? That would be nice. And then we want the constraints to be 0. Hold on, this is how I think we should do it. Like that. I think that's the way. Hold on, let me read. And so in the inspector, in the stack view, make sure the axis is set to horizontal and the alignment and distribution are set to fill. Let me do that again. I might want to do it a different way. I think this would work, what I just did. Let me try again. So select them. Do we want horizontal container? No, that doesn't really make sense to me. But fill equally. No. Let me read that again. Add and switches and alternate. Highlight both of them and click the embed in stack. We already did that. In the attributes inspector for the stack view, make sure the axis is set to horizontal and the alignment and distribution are set to fill. Okay, so we have the stack view. Which one? This one? Maybe this is, yeah. Alignment, where's alignment? To what? Center, there we go. And then this is fill, what did it say? Fill what? Set to horizontal and alignment distribution are set to both to fill and alignment, oh. Axis is horizontal. There we go. And this is fill, or no, this is fill. And this is fill. That doesn't make sense. It should be vertical. No, it's vertical. Fill. I guess I might have made it wrong. I think this will still work if we just do this. Let's just, I don't know what I did wrong, but I think the way I originally put it, where you put 0 on both sides here, 0, 0. That looks right. Doesn't it look right? I don't know, but I still have red. Why do I still have red? What is red? What is red? How about if I start over? Let me start over. I think the first way I did it, where I had it here, and then I put vertical center, right? Then I went to here and did 0, 0 here. And that looks fine. There's no red there. So I'm going with that. I'm going with that. Again, I selected it. I went to vertical center 0. And then I went here and I put 0, 0 for the labels here. And maybe add some space between them might be nice. Where we do that spacing of what? 20? There we go. That looks pretty good. So see if you can get to something like that. Let's continue. So this should be done. Copy the second make. No. It's a very good line just to fill. Whatever. We made it look like that. I don't know.
It's a little too close to the borders.
Yeah, mine is too.
I think what they wanted you to do was like do all the fill, like the horizontal and alignment distribution, setting it to fill. They wanted you to do it to the single stack view before we actually copied the.
Oh, before we did it to all of them. I think it'll still work.
Yeah.
I think it will. Add a button to the bottom of the stack view and set it to submit answers. Finally, use the align tool to center the stack vertically within the view and add new constraint tool to the leading and trailing to 0 from each margin. Necessary, add the update frame button. Okay, so we haven't had a submit answers yet. So let's put that in there. That's going to be a button. So again, let's go here to the and put in a button, B-U-T-T-O-N button. We're going to put our button there. We're going to put it in the center, kind of below the label. We're going to call it submit answers, like that. Submit answers, and then you got to give it some constraints. There's suggestions for constraints. Add a button to the bottom of the stack view and set bottom of the stack view. Oh, is it in the stack view? Add a button to the bottom of the stack view and set its title. And set its title to submit answers. Finally, use the align tool to center the stack vertically within the view. Then use the add new constraints tool to set the leading and trailing to 0 from each margin. If necessary, use the update frames button. I don't know. Should we stick it inside the stack, or should we keep it outside? What do you guys think? Do you think we should put it inside the stack view? At the bottom here? There it is. It's at the bottom there. And I think it's just fine because we've already put 0 to the things for the other one. So, boom, I just put it in there and I think it's fine because see how the dots go to the end? Because of the way I did it already, put 0 on both sides of the stack view. And it looks like it's in the center. So, boy, I think it's fine right there. I think it's fine right there. Okay, let's go back. Let's continue. The third type of question might follow this format. How much do you like a particular food? You could probably think of a way to use a button or switch for the answer, but the player might have a better experience if their choice feels a little more freeform. To allow players to range of answers, you could use a slider as the input control with a label on either side of the slider. To make things easier, you might want to hide the multiple answer stack just as you did earlier in the single stack view. Select it in the storyboard, open the Attributes Inspector, deselect the Install button panel. You can use the stack view to create the interface without having to define very many constraints. Similar to the switch approach, begin by adding 2 labels to the canvas from the object library, then select both and click Embed in Stack View. In the Attributes Inspector, click the axis to the horizontal alignment is set to fill and distribution set as equal. So again, to do this, again, it might be easier to select over here. Again, we're going to hide this one right here. So if you click on it, you can go over to your attributes. Again, where it says installed right here, I'm going to hide that. Boom, it's hidden. Next, we're going to make the third one. The third one will have, as you can see, you have the 2 labels, a slider, and a submit answer. So again, they talk about adding a label on there, so we can add a label. We're going to add a label on there. And you could duplicate that label to add another label. So we have 2 labels. Then they say select both of them and embed them into a stack view. And then that stack view is going to be vertical? No, horizontal. And we want to do, I'm trying to follow how they do this. What do they got? They got put 2 labels, make it a stack view. In the attributes inspector, click the axis to set to horizontal. Yes, it's already horizontal. Line set to fill, alignment set to fill, and the distribution set to equal spacing. Equal spacing. But it doesn't do anything. It doesn't put it to the edge. But I guess it's okay. Next, drag a slider from the object library onto the canvas. Select the slider in the horizontal stack and click Embed in Stack. In the Attributes Inspector, check that the axis is set to vertical, alignment, distribution set to fill, and the spacing set to 20. So again, we're going to put a slider on there, S-L-I-D-E-R, slider. Drag that on top here. Then we're going to select both of them. And we're going to put that into a vertical stack view, and it says vertical already, and distribution, what did it say for distribution? Drag the slider from the, select the slider, horizontal stack view, and embed in stack. In the attributes, check that the axis is set to vertical, yes, and the distribution set to is both set to fill. We got that, and the spacing set to 20. So we're going to change this to 20, and there we go. We have that. Okay. Next, at the bottom of the stack, you set the title to submit answers. Use the alignment tool to center the stack vertically within the view. Then use add new constraints tool to letting and trailing edges to 0. Add spacings and margins if necessary. Use the update frame to reposition the frames based on the constraints you've created. Again, they want you to put a submit answers in there. So I guess we can put another button in there. A button, and we put that at the bottom. And we're going to call that submit answers. And then we're going to make sure that's inside that stack view, this one. So somehow make sure, ooh, we don't want it on top. We want it underneath. There we go. So it's in there. So it's in this stack view, and then we're going to select the stack view, and we're going to put constraints on that stack view to 0, 0, and then hit add to constraints. Oh, we got to put a horizontal. I did that wrong. Hold on. I did that wrong. I'm going to first align it vertically. There we go. Boom. Then I'm going to put 0, 0. Boom. That looks about right. Now, I don't have any margins. I know it goes all the way to the edge. I'm not going to worry about that right now, but it looks like it should be something like that. Okay, so you should be at this point where we have the stack view here. These two are hidden, right? These two are hidden. So before you move on, you'll need to re-enable the stack views that you uninstalled during the button building processes. In the document outline, select each stack view, then select the install checkbox in the attributes inspector. So again, the key here is that it's much easier to select things over here than it is to try and select anything here. So make sure you click here. See how it's grayed out? This is dark gray and this is light gray. Do you see that? So click on that and hit the install button. They'll start being over top of each other, but don't worry. It's correct. See how they're all stacked on top of each other? That's okay. They're all stacked on top of each other. No matter what kind of question you ask your player, you'll need to display it in a label. Add a label to the top of the view, then use the Add New Constraint tool to position the label 20 pixels below the navigational bar and 0 pixels from the leading and trailing margin. In the Attributes Inspector, set the text alignment to center and set the font to System Font 32. Set the lines attributes to 0, which will allow the label to use as many lines as needed. Change the line break attribute to word wrap. So again, no matter question, labels, and progress. So again, at the top up here is what they're talking about. So again, we're going to add a label at the top up here. And then we're going to put some constraints on it. System font, align center, put 0, and word wrap, just like we did before, right? So here we go. Again, I'm still in the question view controller, still in the question view controller. I'm going to put a label at the top. This is telling them, you know, where they're at, basically, in the 3, because you have 3 things they're doing, right? You want to tell them what 3 they're doing here. So I'm going to go and put that on there, kind of towards the top. We're going to change this to 32. Center that, center that. Center, center, center. Where's center? Center. There it is. Center. Oop. Center, center. There we go. We're going to center that. We're going to go down to the inspector here, and we're going to put 20 down from the top, 20 down, and a 0, 0 there. And then anything else? What did I just say? Oh, system. Oh, we got to put line of 0. And then under here where it says line break, we're going to do word wrap. Word wrap. So again, 0, word wrap. Select the label, 20 down, 0, 0 on the edges, and I think that is it. So see if you can put that in there. Next, we're going to put a progress bar at the bottom. So down here at the bottom, there's three. You know, basically you're giving them progress. They did the first question, second question, third question, right? So to put the progress, they have something called progress view from the object library. So again, it's going to go down here towards the bottom. So I'm going to click on the attributes, and it's going to be progress, P-R-O-G, progress view. Progress view. I'm going to drag that towards the bottom, kind of at the bottom down there. Then we're going to align that. Again, the alignment features that they have there is, again, progress view from the library. Use the Add New Constraints tool to position a progress view 20 pixels from the bottom and 0 from the leading. So again, we're going to go here. Oh, not there. I'm sorry. Here, we'll put in 20 from the bottom and then 0, 0 from the edges, and hit Add 3 Constraints. So there's a little progress view. It goes along the bottom. Again, it's called progress view. Position it at the bottom of the view controller and go 0, 0, 20. And next, it's ready to program. So how about we stop this for right now,